All right, we're jumping UFC light heavy. Modestas Bukauskas is back in action here pretty soon. Modestas, how's it going, man?
Yeah, doing very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on again, mate. Always a pleasure speaking to you.
Yeah, always enjoy talking to you. Like, obviously, it's pretty quicker turnaround than I thought after the last one. Like, was this kind of surprised how quickly they were able to get you back in there?
I was a little bit surprised, but at the same time, I'm very thankful that I did get a quick turnaround because I definitely feel my last performance wasn't the full Baltic Gladiator. There's definitely a dark cloud over me during my whole training camp in that last one. So this camp, been going to plan, and I'm just looking forward to show everyone what I can really do.
What? Why do you kind of think that performance? Like, what do you think went wrong for you there?
I was kind of loading up, trying to look for like one kill shot and essentially just one shot. I wasn't mixing anything up. I wasn't doing what I normally do. And it wasn't because it's like a big stage, big card or whatever. Like I'm used to those sort of pressure situations. It was more just mentally. I feel like I had a lot of things to deal with leading into that fight, and I think that definitely affected my performance. Where I was fighting from a fight or flight instead of like a logical sort of flow state where you're able to see things and read things. But obviously, it's no discredit to Krylov. He did an amazing job and he did what he had to do. So fair play to him. But I've learned from my mistakes and I'm moving forward. And I'm definitely feeling very good in this camp and looking forward to put on a performance that I'm meant to put on in my next one.
Uh, just going to the Apex after fighting in an arena, is that a bit disappointing? Like, is that going to take a bit of adjustment?
Not at all, mate. Like, look, at the end of the day, it's a fist fight. No matter where you are, no matter if you're in a big arena or whatever. I mean, I think it's quite cool how they've added more seating in there, so it does have more of an arena sort of vibe. But obviously, it's a bit more of an intimate setting. You can hear the punches landing a lot more heavy in that arena with the echoing and stuff like that. But for me, a fight is a fight. Yeah, smaller cage, this that. But I've been training in smaller cages anyway, so. Yeah, for me, it's no matter where you're fighting, you got to go and do the business. So ultimately, I think tactically, obviously, you'll have to play it a little bit differently with the smaller cage. But bro, fighting at the Apex or fighting in Vegas in general is great. You know what I mean? So I'm ready to go out there and put on a performance.
And you do have Arnold Allen in the main events. There's a little bit of a European takeover. Does that add a bit to it of like not
Oh
a
yeah, no,
familiar
I
face?
love that. I love that because we both fought on the same card in the last one, and here we are back again fighting on the same card again. So yeah, Arnold Allen, extremely talented guy, great British fighter, and yeah, I see him going out there and putting on his own amazing performance. Both us going out with some comeback victories. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Uh, and Rodolfo Bellato, like been around the UFC for a bit, like kind of had a pretty strange tenure, like some draws and no contests, all that kind of stuff. Like, how familiar were you with him?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, I've seen that he's been coming up. Obviously, his last fight I saw, he got a really nice finish in his last fight. He's dangerous. Like the thing is, he's dangerous everywhere. People like would be quick to overlook him because he's got like a bit of a weird record. But ultimately, when you look at those actual fights, I mean coming off of like against Crute especially, he was down on the scorecards in the first. Had a hard round, and in every fight he managed to come back, like turn it all around. So he's extremely durable, extremely tough, and clearly he's got heavy hands, and he's got a good overall game. So he's very dangerous, and it's a good next step in my career.
Do you change anything training camp wise or partners for this one, or is it kind of the same as always for you?
I've got another coach working with me a little bit more closely. So when I've been training with Simon, we've brought in Marcus. He's another really good coach. But essentially, my dad, like I say, as always, steering the ship. He's always looking at things that I'm doing right in a fight, wrong in a fight, things that I need to improve on, things that I need to like I say, my dad's the captain, but he always manages to bring out the best performances in me. And this time, when I'm fully locked in, my mental state is fully like geared up to like just basically just fully focused on the fight and nothing other than that. Do you know what I mean? My dad can get can get the best out of me. So that's exactly what you're going to go and see on May 16th. So a couple of small changes, but it's kept relatively the same. But the training sessions have been tough, and we're pushing each other. I mean, Simeon especially, he's he's fighting 2 weeks before me, so we're both in training camp. We're both in shape. Like the whole vibe and the energy within the camp is amazing. Obviously, I've got James Webb helping me out a lot as well. So not too many changes, just more changes in my mental state and changes in terms of just me trying to push myself as much as possible and just being fully zoned in and locked into this fight. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
You mentioned earlier that you weren't too pleased with the last performance. Does that add like a bit of a chip on your shoulder going to this one? Kind of just prove everyone like how much better
Yeah,
you are than that performance?
yeah, 100%, 100%. I get annoyed at myself because I'm not performing to what I'm fully capable of. I'm not performing to the highest ability and what I can do in the training room. And like I say, it's one of those things where you look back at your performance, you're like, why the hell don't I do this, or why the hell didn't I do that? And but I know the reasons why, but it was all part of God's plan. Do you know what I mean? It was all part of the path. Like, I had to go through that particular situation and learn the appropriate lessons in order for me to move forward. So it was a little bit of a dark time after that. And like I said, even leaning into that fight, but I've learned so much from that, and I'm a much better. Not only am I a much better fighter, but I'm also a better man for it. So I'm, like I say, I've not felt like this good since probably before the Paul Craig fight. So I'm looking forward just to get in there. Like, I don't feel like I've had this much excitement, for quite a long time. So that's always a good sign.
Do you think the smaller cage, the Apex, plays much of a factor? Like changes how you guys have to fight or anything?
I guess a little bit. I mean, it means that takedowns are going to be, like, especially against the cage, are going to be easier to get. You're going to have to apply a bit more ring craft and stuff like that. So you have to change things up a little bit. But because I'm also training in a small cage, I'm used to that environment anyways. I'm probably training in a cage that's probably slightly smaller than the Apex, actually, with Simmons. So yeah, for me, nothing really changes because I've been sort of handing my training and emphasizing things to be able to work around in that smaller space. So yeah, I think it definitely puts you into the fire and into the fight a little bit more. But I'm actually excited for that because we all know Bellator likes to throw down. So yeah, I'm looking forward to get after it.
How do you kind of see this one playing out? Like, should be a pretty fun fight. Both you guys aggressive to the finishers. Like, how do you kind of see it playing out?
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, it's definitely going to be a very explosive matchup. There's going to be a bit of a tactical game being played, I think, from both parties. But you can definitely expect to see the fittest Baltic Gladiator, the most explosive for sure, the one with the strongest mindset going into it. And I've been evolving and trying to develop my game as much as possible. So it's going to be very entertaining for the fans. Look, I'm always going for the finish, as I'm sure Bellato is also. But that's the only way I see it playing out, is me getting the finish, getting my hand raised, and moving forward in my career. So yeah, like I say, it's going to be a very exciting fight for the fans for sure.
What do you think a win here like does for you in the division? Where do you think that kind of puts you?
100%. I'm going to be looking to get. One thing I know is it has to be a spectacular performance. Otherwise, I can't really root for another top 15 matchup. But because of, like I say, my last performance being lackluster in terms of what my normal capabilities are, I feel like a big win here will definitely get me right back into that top 15 picture. And that's exactly what I'm looking to go and do. So, yeah, my mind is fully focused on Bellato, but essentially, I've got to get myself back into the top 15 race, and the only way you're going to do that is if you fight impressively. So that's what I'm looking to go and do.
Already your second fight this year before the middle of May. Like, what is kind of the goal then for this year? Because that can kind of you kind of set up to have a pretty active year.
Oh, 100%, bro. I'm looking to be a top 15 ranked light heavyweight by the end of the year, without a doubt. That's literally that should have been that was essentially what I was starting this year. I was trying to get into the top 10, but listen, okay, we've had a little bit bit of a step back, but by no means does that derail me to what I'm eventually destined to go and do. So top 15, 100% by the end of the year, and looking to work my way up the ranks. So yeah, like I say, I'm fully zoned in for this.
Just a couple more things. Obviously, light heavyweight title changed hands with, or I guess it was vacant anyways. But what you
Yeah,
kind of make of that performance with Alberg and like kind of everything that kind of went
fair
down.
play. Fair. Do you know what? I actually met him when I was doing a bit of stuff with the UFC with him in Abu Dhabi, and he's actually a really nice guy. He's he's a very methodical striker, and that clearly played. And I mean, everyone knows he's got an extremely powerful left hook, and you know, it was very it was exciting because of that particular situation. Unfortunately, obviously having to have a bad injury, but I mean, fair play to him, being on one leg essentially. You know, you're closing out that beginning round, and he lands a left hook out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? And you know, I think Yuri probably saw that injury and then kind of took his foot off the gas a little bit, and then just left himself open. Which, you know, in hindsight, you know, I think anyone in that situation, obviously you got to go in for the kill, but you kind of step back a little bit, which again, it's another learning curve. Do you know what I mean? Like, he'll be looking at that tape and think, okay, like how can I work from this? Do you know what I mean? But obviously, Allberg, massive credit to him. What an amazing performance by him to land that shot, especially on one leg. And it's, you know, it's good to see, like I say, new faces in the division, like sort of things are moving, like changing hands, you know. So it definitely mixes things up, and it's exciting for everyone that's watching.
I think the only kind of unfortunate is obviously he had the ACL surgery, so I feel like
Yeah,
they're gonna do an interim belt, but like I don't really
probably.
know. Like, who do you think would get? Like, I feel like Ankalaev would deserve, but like the UFC doesn't seem too high on him. And then like outside of that, like like it's like Yuri's coming off the loss, like Roundtree's coming off loss, Hill's coming off the loss. Like I don't really know where you go for an interim
Well,
belt.
potentially, I mean, you know, you've got Blahovic versus Guskov, and they're quite high up in the rankings.
Mhm.
So that one could face Paulo Costa, for example. That would, like, for an interim belt, in terms of if you're trying to, again, talking about this whole realm of, you know, keeping things fresh, like maybe they'll do something there. I personally believe Ankalaev would be the most deserving in terms of, you know, he'd lost to the champion, and now there's an interim belt about. Okay, maybe we'll throw him in against, like I say, probably Costa seems to be the guy, you know, just come off of a win. That would probably, like I say, especially against a guy that come off a win, probably make the most sense. Yeah, it's unfortunate, obviously, Carlos having that injury, but you know the UFC are amazing in terms of what they do with getting operations sorted. Like he's got his operation already. You know, he'll be doing his physio, and we're athletes, and we tend to heal a little bit faster than the average person. So especially just from training all the time. So I'm sure he'll be back sooner than people expect. And yeah, I know what you're saying in terms of loads of people coming off of losses, but yeah, if you're looking at it from that perspective, Costa against Ankalaev, or you know Blahovic, Guskov, that sort of seems like maybe an interim belt if he's out for so long would make the most sense.
Just final thing I want to touch on is obviously I know you and Tom are close, and like the interim belt at the White House. Like, what are your kind of thoughts on that? Like, it's Pereira's obviously moving up. Like, obviously you're familiar with him, just as the former
Yeah,
light heavyweight champion. Like, what do you kind of think of that? And like, obviously you're not Tom, but like, do you think there is a preference from that side? Like, I think both fights are big. Like, you get the Gon fight back and like kind of prove that he is better, or if it is Pereira, like that's a huge fight against Tom.
yeah. Well, whichever way it goes, it's going to be good for Tom either way. You know, I definitely feel like he's got more logs under his fire to come back and, you know, show people like listen, like I am the heavyweight champion. I'm going to show that I'm here, and I'm here to stay, and I'm here to put on big performances and show that I am the best, which I truly believe he is. Do you know what I mean? Like, we only got to see one round of him. Um, in Abu Dhabi, and like I say, I feel so bad for him having all that backlash online. I mean, listen, the IPAC was really bad. He's had to have, like, I think, two surgeries, and like the muscles in his eyes weren't right. So you know, like, I feel like it's just for him. He's going to be like, do you know what? Okay, I'm gonna show you guys what's up, and that's gonna mean that there's going to be a much more dangerous and ferocious Tom Aspinall coming back into the cage, and I can't wait for him to get back in there because I know, you know, obviously with not having activity for such a long time because of the John Jones situation, it was quite upsetting for him. So I know he's just going to be raring to get back in. It's good that he's doing stuff outside of the octagon to keep himself busy and create new opportunities. And like I say, he's a really great guy and good friend. And yeah, like I'm looking forward to see him get back in there because when he is, trust me, he's going to be a whole different animal.
Well, Modestas, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this again.
You're the man. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
brother. You have an amazing night, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah.
Nice.